Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we're going to be going through the Counter Blitz deck. This is based around Final Fantasy X and the Sphere Grid mechanic with some callbacks to like Blitz Ball and stuff. Yeah, I guess. So it's represented with counters of various kinds, as well as proliferation and passing these counters around. I will start by saying I do not know a huge amount about Final Fantasy, but I do love these decks so far. They just look amazing. I have a big gripe with this one, which we'll get to a little bit later though. So we've got Titus Unit Guardian here. So this is the Bant deck. So you've got green, white, and blue. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you're going to move a counter from a target creature you control to a second target creature you control. Then, whenever one or more creatures you control with counters on them deal combat damage to a player, you may draw a card and proliferate. Now, because it does say this can only happen once per turn, it doesn't matter if you hit 3 people, you can still only do it once, unfortunately. But you do get to draw cards and proliferate, which is great, especially if you've got combat, like non +1/+1 counters that you can move around, because then, something has 2 shield counters on it. You can grab one of those shield counters, move it somewhere else, and then proliferate. Now you've got 4 shield counters overall. It's a great use of the mechanic. And then our secondary commander here is Yuna Grand Summoner. So she has tap, add 1 mana of any color. You may next cast a creature. When you next cast a creature this turn, that creature enters with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it. She goes infinite so easily with anything that can untap her for 1. So like Freed from the Real, for example. And then whenever another permanent you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, if it had 1 or more counters on it, any counters will work. +1/+1 counters. Lore counters from sagas. Spoilers. And like you get to move. Sorry, you don't get to move. You get to put a number of +1/+1 counters on target creature based off of those counters. That's really cool. Very interesting way to kind of turn your summons into buffing your other creatures, which is great. I love it. I do think that she is the better commander out of the 2. Both are good, but Titus, if you want to focus more on the combat kind of side, while Yuna's like a mana dork that will also get you a huge bonus, like an Ozolith Light on her abilities. Really cool. So going into the other new cards, we've got Kimahri Valiant Guardian. So they have Vigilance, and then at the beginning of combat on your turn, you can put a +1/+1 counter on Kimahri and tap target creature an opponent controls. Then you may have Kimahri become a copy of that creature, except its name is Kimahri Valiant Guardian, and it has Vigilance and its ability. Keep in mind that's not become a copy until end of combat, not become a copy until, the end of the turn or anything like that. It's just permanent. He just permanently becomes a copy of it. That is really cool. Honestly, I almost want to build this dude as a freaking commander. Yeah, that's awesome. It's a very interesting kind of clone ability. Yeah, I have no complaints. That's really cool. We've got Shalinda Yevon Acolyte. So they have lifelink, and then whenever another creature you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature if its power is less than Shalinda's power. Otherwise, put a +1/+1 counter on Shalinda. So I guess you kind of buff Shalinda slowly there, and then once other creatures start getting in after he's not, they're not as strong, then boom, now you get, stronger creatures. Good kind of +1/+1 mechanic there. We've got Sin Unending Cataclysm. Flying and trample. As Sin enters, remove all counters from any number of artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. You're then going to put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is twice the number of counters you remove this way. Oh boy. So if you've got say 5 +1 counters across your creatures, you get to remove all 5 of those, and then now you get 10 +1 counters onto Sin. Really cool. Then when Sin dies, put its counters on target creature control, then shuffle Sin into your library. So Sin doesn't really die. Sin just goes away for a little bit. We've got Waka Devoted Guardian, has reach and trample. Whenever Waka deals combat damage to a player, destroy up to 1 target artifact that player controls and put a +1/+1 counter onto Waka. Yeah, I kind of feel bad about the Limit Break deck after that was the first video I did. This is the second one. This has a fair bit of artifact removal. Yeah, so I guess you're going to get to stop those, which is not great for them. And then at the beginning of your end step, if a counter was put on Whacker this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. Keep in mind that counter does not need to be either a +1/+1 counter or need to have come from his ability. Just any counter going onto Whacker, boom, now you get to buff up all your creatures. We've got Maester Seymour. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a number of +1 counters equal to Maester Seymour's power on another target creature you control. And you can also pay 3 and 2 green to give him Monstrosity X, where X is the number of counters among creatures you control. Keep in mind that's like if something has 5 +1 counters, something else has 2, then that's 7 +1/+1 counters that you're going to put onto Maester. Really cool. We've got Sphere Grid. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. And then creatures you control with +1/+1 counters have Reach and Trample. Great way to stop, anything that's going to fly over top of your huge creatures. And now you get even bigger creatures, as well as the Trample's really good here too. Everything on this card is really great, right? We've got Summon Major Sisters. So they have 1, 2, 3. All 3 parts of this saga are the same. They also have haste, so you're able to attack with them straight away. Choose one at random. Put 3 +1/+1 counters on target creature. Can technically be itself, but given the fact that it is a saga, it's going to go away on turn 3, so you probably don't want to. You've got defense. Put a shield counter on target creature you control. On target creature, so it could be any creature actually, and you can gain 3 life. Or this creature fights up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. And you get to choose one of those at random, so you just roll a d6. 1, 2 is the first one, 2, 3. 3, 4 is the second one, etc. We've got Trommel Seymour's Butler. Didn't expect to see a butler. So each other non-token creature you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. And then you've got pay 1 and tap, proliferate X times, where X is the number of non-token creatures you control that entered this turn. Oh boy, that's going to be... Imagine that in a blink deck. Oh boy. Yeah, that would be very interesting in a blink deck. I guess when you blink, it does get rid of the counters, but they also will then re-enter with a counter on them. Really interesting. We've got units. Oh, that can also be... Yeah, that can also be done at instant speed if you somehow manage to, like, if you blink at instant speed. Cool. We've got Yuna's Decision here. You can choose one. Either continue the pilgrimage, sacrifice a creature. If you do, draw a card. Then you may put a creature card from or a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Or you can find another way, which is return 1 or 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. Good kind of cheap modal spell there. Yuna's Whistle, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If you do reveal a creature card, when you reveal a creature card this way, put X +1/+1 counters on target creature control, where X is the mana value of that card. Yep, just buff up a creature as well as draw your creature, which is pretty decent. Like that, yeah, I like that. That's good. We've got Blitzball Stadium. Whenever it enters support X, you're going to put X +1/+1 counters. You're going to put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to X target creatures. And then you've got Go for the Goal. Pay 3 and tap it until end of turn. Target creature gains whenever it deals combat damage to a player. Draw a card for each kind of counter on it. So any kind of number of different counters, you're going to draw to, if you've got a +1/+1 counter, a shield counter, etc., then you get to draw based off of those. And it can't be blocked this turn as well. Got Lulu Stern Guardian. Whenever an opponent attacks you, choose a target creature attacking you. Put a stun counter on that creature. So while it doesn't stop them from hitting you, it does make it so that whatever creature hitting you, you could potentially put a stun counter on it, stopping it from then untapping. You can also pay 3 and a blue to proliferate, which is good, right? Like that's decent on an ability. I don't think that's too bad. And you can also proliferate the stun counters then too. We've got Oaka Traveling Merchant. You can tap, remove a counter from a non-land permanent, draw a card. Simple, easy, cheap to get out, 1 and a blue to start doing it. That's good. I like it. Riku Resourceful Guardian here. Whenever you put 1 or more counters on a creature until end of turn, that creature can't be blocked by creatures your opponents control. That's bonkers. Yeah, that's actually really bonkers. And then you can steal, pay 1 and tap it, move a counter from target creature and opponent controls onto target creature you control. You can steal opponent's counters as well. That's crazy. We've got Summon Velithor, Velithor. Sonic Wings. Each opponent chooses a creature with the greatest mana value among creatures they control. Return those creatures to their owner's hands. And then in 2, 3, and 4, you're going to tap up to 1 target creature and put a stun counter on it. This is going straight into my Spidey deck. We've got Auron, Venerated Guardian, Vigilance. Whenever you attack, whenever Auron attacks, put a +1 counter on it. Then when you do, exile target creature with defending player controls with power less than Auron's power until Auron leaves the battlefield. Chocobo Knights. I'm actually surprised Chocobo Knights doesn't have the bird tag as well. Maybe they thought that was going to break something or something. I don't know. Whenever you attack creatures with you control with counters on them, gain double strike until end of turn. That is crazy great as well. Like, because it gives them, both that first strike ability and the, additional attack afterwards. We've got Gata and Lazo. We've got Flash. Whenever they enter, choose target creature you control. If damage would be dealt to that creature this turn, prevent that damage and put that many +1/+1 counters on it. Good way to protect a creature. Just, I guess, protect a creature and then also buff it up. Lord Jaskal Guarda, flying at the beginning of each end step. If you put a counter on a creature this turn, investigate. Some card draw. Good card draw. Protection magic, put a shield counter on each of up to 3 target creatures. We've got Summon Ixion, exile target creature and opponent controls until this saga leaves the battlefield. And then 2 and 3 is put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control and you gain 2 life. And it's got first strike too. And that art is just amazing. A lightning unicorn. That is so cool. We've got Summon Yojimbo. Exile target artifact, enchantment, or tapped creature and opponent controls. Then 2 and 3 is until your next turn, creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each of those creatures. So like a Ghostly Prison built into it. And then 4 is create X tokens, where X is the number of opponents who control a creature with power 4 or greater. We got Summon Ascending at the beginning of your end step. If you may exile target creature from card from a graveyard, any graveyard, keep in mind. If you do, create a 1/1 white spirit token and then put a +1/+1 counter on it if the exiled card's mana value is 4 or greater. So into the top reprints here, we've got Walking Ballista. What? So Walking Ballista plus Yuna is already 2 parts of the 3-part infinite, where you just need one way to untap Yuna for paying 1 mana. And they printed it in the Precon. Freed from the Real. If you have not brought a Freed from the Real, I feel sorry for you, because instantly this card has now become a $20 card, potentially. We've got Bane of Progress. When it enters, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Great. Get +1 counters based off it. Great. $7 plus. Great. We've got Generous Patron, $5.87 as a reprint there. Whenever you put a counter on whenever one or more counters on a creature whenever you put 1 or more counters on a creature you don't control, draw a card. I don't know about that one. I can see it being a decent card, but realistically, I don't know if it's worth it. It's technically draw 2, right? Like when it enters, you could draw 2 by supporting 2, because the support's just put it on any creatures. So yeah, I guess not bad that way. Resourceful Defense, seeing a reprint here. Amazing. Really good. And the art is great. I'm really, really happy with that. Inexorable Tide. Whenever you cast a spell, proliferate. Good to see it in here. Amazing. It goes crazy, crazy great with the deck. Damning Verdict, $18.80. And it is just insane in this deck, right? Like, it's potentially a huge, huge one-sided board wipe. As long as opponents' creatures don't have counters on them, they get destroyed. Yeah, that's really, really, really good. And really good to see a reprint of it here as well. And then we've got Farewell. The reprints in this set are just good. Farewell getting a reprint here as well. I assume that if I had have played Final Fantasy X, I could have potentially cried seeing this card, but at the moment I have no idea what it means. So someone's got to spoil it down in the comments for me. We've got 3 visits. Great, you know, huge ramp spell. Find any forest you want, put it onto the battlefield. Yeah, good. So into the mana base. So I said before about there being something that I wasn't a huge fan of with this this deck, and the mana base is it. There is a fair few lands that are going to enter tapped here. Comparing this one to the Limit Break one that I just did the video on, this is very disappointing. Like, there's some of these that, like, Idyllic Beachfront is just, it's a island plane that enters tapped, and that's it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. There's some checklands in here. There's the temples in here. Temples as well aren't great. Like, you know, they enter tapped, and you get to scry one. Good, but not good because they enter tapped. There's like one pain land, which is this brush land down here, unless I missed the other 2. Nesting Grounds is good, but yeah, the mana base is the first thing that I would look at upgrading with this if you're buying it. So if you guys are liking this content so far, make sure you subscribe, make sure you do all that kind of stuff. This is instant speed news. Instant speed is when you can play it at any time, interrupt stuff. I interrupted my sleep at 5 a.m. to come up and do these videos for you. I'm getting through the second one now. And yeah, it's before I think even the main channel has posted them. All right, quick and dirty upgrades. Free from the reel. If you haven't bought this already, please go do it as soon as possible. Buy it right this second if you're buying this deck, because this is just infinite with Yuna. You already have the Walking Ballista in there. You've got Yuna. Boom. We've got Falco Spara Pact Weaver. 1 gets shield counters that you can then proliferate those shield counters out, pass them around to other things. Good. You can play this card from the top of your deck if you just remove a counter from something. Good. Falco is crazy great with this deck. We've got Danny Pink. Whenever a creature gets 1 or more counters onto it, for the first time each turn, draw a card. And that's creatures you control have that. So if you've got 10 creatures out and they all get a counter for the first time each turn, you draw a card for each of them. Really good. Proliferate will put all that on there. Herald of the Secret Streams. All the creatures that you control with +1/+1 counters and can't be blocked. Get in those huge swing-ins. We've got Denry Clean, Editor-in-Chief. We want more counters to kind of pass around and buff up our creatures. Boom. Now we can get first strike counters onto them. We can get vigilance counters onto them. We can get any, +1/+1 counters onto them if you really want to. Then you can put the counters onto Denry, which then after that, now whenever creatures enter, they're going to get all the counters from Denry. We've got Dreamtide Whale. I love this card so much. It's got Vanishing 2, so technically it'll go away after 2 upkeeps. But whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, proliferate. The amount of people who cast 2 spells each turn is crazy. It's going to be basically everyone that's going to do that. So you're just going to proliferate for yourself. You're going to proliferate for this mate. You're going to proliferate for that dude. And then this chick's going to. And then, you got around to your turn. Now your Dreamtide Whale's got 5, 6 counters on it. It's not going to go away. Just don't worry about that vanishing. It is basically irrelevant as long as you've got far enough into the game that people are casting 2 spells each turn. We've got Mutational Advantage. Permanents you control with counters on them gain Hexproof and Indestructible. We don't want to get removed. Boom, now we're not going to. You get to prevent all damage that we dealt to those. That's great too. We get Proliferate. That's great too. Yeah, really, really good. Interesting that it gives Indestructible as well as prevent the damage. I guess that kind of helps bypass some of the ways that people would remove things without and bypass the Indestructible. Yeah, that's great. We've got Aragorn, Company Leader. Now, this top part here, just ignore that. You don't need to worry about that. There is no need for that. The ring's not going to tempt you. We don't have any ring tempt stuff in here. This second part, though, that is what we want. Whenever 1 or more counters are put onto him, put one of those on to one other target creature. Sorry, one of each of those onto one other target creature. So you put a shield counter on him. Now you're going to put a shield counter on this. You put whatever counter you're onto him, you put it onto everything else. It's really good. Just pass your counters around to everything. That's what this deck wants. We got Tecthal Inquiry Dominus. Whenever you proliferate twice. Yeah, I don't have to explain that, do I? And also, he can get indestructible counters. Now we can get indestructible counters. Start proliferating those up. Start passing those around to everyone. Hey, Titus, you want an indestructible counter? You want to give that to Yuna? Go ahead. Do what you like. We've got Repulsive Mutation. Great card. You know, you get to do the counter. You get to buff up a creature potentially if you wanted to pay X into it as well. Yeah, it's at this point, you know, later in the game, once your creatures are kind of, you know, 7+, no one's going to pay 7 extra mana to like cast their spell unless they really have infinite mana or something. Yeah, it's cool. The 6th Doctor here, whenever you cast a Historic, there is so many legendaries in these decks. Casting Historic is going to happen all the time, but not just your legendary creatures, any of those sagas. Boom. Saga creatures. Now you got 2 of those saga creatures. Your legendaries. Your artifacts as well. There's a couple artifacts in here. Boom. You want to double your Soul Ring? Go ahead. I have no issues with it unless I'm versing you, in which case, fuck you. Now, I'd love to hear from you guys what your thoughts are. This deck looks really, really awesome. I love it. I think it's crafted really well until you get to the mana base, which I think needs a lot of work. The new cards are really amazing. I think that this is really great. I think that they're doing a good job of capturing the flavor of Final Fantasy and everything. So I'm pretty happy. I hope you guys had a great day, and goodbye.